Hello, hello, lifelong learners and beautiful souls on this human journey. Welcome. Today, we're going to talk about loneliness in a connected world. I mean, think about it. In today's life, more than ever, when technology has made it possible to give us instant access, no matter how far anyone is from anybody else, in spite of connections this big, we still feel lonely. Why is that? So today I'm going to cover this topic in three parts. The first one is to understand why is it that you're feeling lonely, because everyone's reason is not the same. So you need to find out what your own is. Second one, the impact of feeling lonely in spite of being surrounded by like 8 billion people. What's the impact? Not just on your health, but also on your relationships. And the third, how do you overcome it? Because that's not a nice place to be, is it? Right? So, the very first thing, why is it that we feel lonely in spite of being connected? The very obvious answer that's staring us in the face that we still don't identify is this: we have connection, but we don't have community. What do I mean by this? We have access to people, we see them, but we don't really see them for who they are. Why? Because of the advancement of technology, in spite of us being able to see each other properly, what we don't know is who people truly are, because social media has become all about who you want to be perceived as rather than who you really are. So, what happens is this: you scroll through social media, you look at people's profiles, you feel, wow, this person is my age. Look at how far they've come in life. They've achieved this, they're going on holidays, they look so happy. And you feel good for them, right? But you also feel somewhere deep within that you're not doing all those things that the other people are doing. And somewhere this incorrect assumption takes deep root that maybe that's exactly what their life is, and their entire life is like this, when you and I both know that's not the truth, because what you see online isn't the entire reality, is it? But we don't remember this. We conveniently overlook this, we conveniently forget it. Why? Because what we are seeing, we are repeatedly feeding ourselves with, is the only thing that stays in the front of our mind, because that's in front of our eyes. And we are repeatedly reminded of what we are not doing and what others seem to be doing. So that's the primary reason. The very reason why we are connected, advancement of technology, is also the very reason it can make us feel very, very lonely. The second reason could possibly be that you've lost someone you love. Maybe you went through a heartbreak. Maybe you had a failure in business. Maybe, people that you counted on let you down. And then suddenly you start to feel like, in this space, you start to feel like, you know what, maybe nobody understands me. Maybe, they want to understand me. They want to show compassion. They want to be there for me. But somehow, maybe I'm the only person feeling this way. You don't get me. You don't get me. Haven't you ever done that? You've said that, right? And that's when you tend to isolate yourself in spite of the fact that you have loved ones, you have supporters, you have well wishers. But somehow it makes you feel like no one gets me. That's another reason. The third could be maybe you've moved away from where you were located earlier physically, like, moving to a different city, starting a new life. And let's admit it, the lockdown made us feel lonelier than ever. Isn't that true? Because what happened was we lost social connect. We actually missed being in a crowded place. Didn't you miss it? Like, just 3 4 days ago, okay, I met my niece. She's 13 years old now, and we were having this conversation about how we're going to go and stay in a villa, at a hill station, and we'll have a beautiful time. And you know what she says to me? She says, you know what, I want to go stay in a resort. And I'm like, when you have the privacy of your own private pool and villa, why would you want to stay in a resort? It made me think. And it struck me, even for a 13-year-old, what she was missing was social connect. She wanted to be sharing her experience with other people, but doing it by herself. You know how you go to an amusement park and you take a ride down the slide? You're riding down alone, but it's a shared experience. You understand what I'm saying, right? And that brings a lot of joy. It brings a lot of love between people. You feel like you belong together. You don't have to belong to a person or to a group of people, but it's just that you're belonging with each other, that you're not alone on this journey. And that feeling can lead to a lot of loneliness if you don't have social connect. So I want you to first identify what could possibly be the reason you are feeling lonely today. If it's any of these reasons, trust me when I tell you this, these are just passing phases. Everything has a solution, everything can be fixed. But it must first begin by you understanding that it needs to be fixed and you want to fix it. Because here's the thing, the second part, the impact of you feeling lonely. You may think, after, especially after heartbreaks and all, we come to this point in our lives and we say, you know what, I don't need anybody. Have you ever felt like that? Yeah, I don't need anybody. I can manage on my own. You know what? I don't think people are worth trusting. I'm going to do this by myself. Why? Because we don't want heartbreak again. We don't want to feel pain again. We want to protect ourselves. But in that process of wanting to protect ourselves, we tend to cut off, disconnect, isolate ourselves from a world of supporters, from a world of well wishers. And in that space, it is very difficult for you to even move forward because, come on, we are social beings, right? We have feelings we want to express, we want to be seen, we want to be heard. It's not possible to do the long distance journey by yourself. And that's why you come back to this need of wanting to connect with people. That's why radio was started. If you look at, there was something called ham radio in the past, okay, where amateurs would set up little radios in their houses and they would connect on different frequencies with people across countries. That's exactly, the living evidence of how much humanity wants to connect as a species. So now if you're looking at the impact, okay, you isolating yourself from the world, or even you feeling like nobody understands you, that impact is very, very deep on your health first. There are illnesses, really deep rooted problems, diseases that can come because of the high stress of being alone. There is a rise in cardiovascular illnesses, heart problems, literally, right? Emotions, feelings coming from the heart being damaged. There's a direct connection there. Even dementia has been recorded as an outcome of isolation. Alzheimer's, or even stress related illnesses, rising diabetes. There are so many of these illnesses that are directly connected to isolating yourself from the rest of the world. So don't allow that to happen, because you deserve a healthy life. Ultimately, feeling lonely by yourself can be such a negative and depressing and dark space that it can create toxic pressure buildup within your system. And that's exactly what makes you sick. That's the first impact. The second impact is on your relationships with people. Have you noticed sometimes maybe somebody's feeling depressed, maybe they're feeling sad, maybe they're feeling like nobody gets them, and in that attempt to protect themselves they disconnect so much that you start feeling that they are being rude. Has this ever happened? It has, hasn't it? They are not being rude. They're not being selfish. They're not being unkind. If they are being unkind, they're first being unkind to themselves because they're building a wall around them. What they actually need is more connection, but they don't have the courage to ask for it. And that's why, if you spot this, this can damage relationships. Best friends can pull each other away. Why? Because, they're thinking, I'm the only person who always calls. He or she doesn't care. Why should I care so much? Why can't they connect? Hasn't this happened? Precisely. So, understanding that maybe they are isolated not because they have an ego problem with you, but because they don't have the courage to connect. And this is the second impact. This is exactly what you need to remember, that if someone is distancing themselves from you or they are disconnecting in some way, simply come straight out and ask them to their face, are you feeling things that you're uncomfortable talking about? Because I'm ready to listen. Yeah, that could be a great help to them, right? Which brings us to the part of, how can you overcome feeling lonely in a world of 8 billion people? Feeling lonely in a crowd is a universal feeling. That's the first thing I want you to remember. There is not a single person on planet Earth who has never ever felt lonely. Loneliness is a universal feeling, which means we all feel it at some point in time, which means we know how it feels to feel lonely. And that's why we can rightly say that I understand you. So, the first thing that you're going to do is, if you're feeling lonely, you're going to ask yourself a simple question: how can I help someone else right now? This is the biggest power tool that has helped me turn my life around. After my divorce, I was feeling extremely depressed with myself of, my marriage has failed, I'm not a good person. And you know how those negative thoughts take over, right? So I had disconnected myself from the rest of the world. And at that point in time, I realized that I was absolutely useless to everybody and to myself. So I just asked to change my vibrational frequency because I want good stuff to happen to me, right? The first question I asked myself was, how can I be of use to somebody? The moment you ask yourself this question, start reaching out to people, start adding value in any way. Look, you don't have to create life changing transformations in others. You can simply be present and listen to them. You can just be their shoulder to cry on or to confide in. You can simply be a good friend, go for a walk with them, ask them whether they need help with house chores. It doesn't matter how you help. Just become of use to someone, and you will see a huge shift in your vibrational frequency, and you will feel a connection with another human being that will be so genuine, so authentic, so beautiful that they'll want to give you love back. And that is where that wall of isolation will break. The second thing that you can do is connect with nature. Go out for a walk. Put your feet, bare soles of your feet on grass. Just connect with Mother Earth, because it's actually been known, your body's ions, they are reacting with planet Earth, and your vibrational frequency gradually changes because you start feeling connected to the entire universe, which is exactly who you are, a part of the universe. So that's another thing that you can do. The third thing that you need to do is pick up the phone and reach out. Say, you know what? I am feeling terrible right now. I don't know what I want to talk about, but I want you on the phone. Have someone, your best friend, your confidant, whoever you trust with all your heart, just be on standby. If you ever feel lonely, if you ever feel isolated, just pick up the phone and say, I don't have anything to say, but I want you on the phone. And that's more than enough. You know why? Because the moment there is a pair of ears on the other side, you start to feel the need to have a conversation. And that can break down your walls so beautifully. So, this is today's topic. I hope this has been of great help to you. I've loved sharing this with you. Trust me when I tell you this. I also feel lonely from time to time. We all do. It's natural. We are humans. But we are not alone on this journey, and we need not remain in the darkness of loneliness. So, wish you all the best, and I'm going to catch you in the next episode. Have a great day.